Okay, we are going to call the regular meeting to order here. We got the thumbs up from the back, so we're ready to go here. If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, we want to welcome everybody who is here this evening, not only in the boardroom, but also anybody who might be watching online. So thank you very much for attending. We appreciate your interest in the school district. We will go on to 1.04, which is our adoption of the agenda, and we'll take the motion to take care of that, please.
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion and a second to adopt the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Move on to 2.01. That's our superintendent's report here for April, and we'll turn it over to Dr. Buck.
Good evening, everybody. I'll start with one that's not listed in the report. So tonight at Kauffman Stadium for the Royals game, our Longview Farm Choir students sang the national anthem just a few minutes ago, so kudos to them. And yes, Ryan did miss his kids singing Kauffman Stadium. All right, and sorry to bring it up then, I guess. Congratulations to 6 students from Lee Summit LSR7 School District who've been selected for the 2022 Missouri Scholars 100. And it's a statewide program that honors 100 Missouri top academic students in the state. So again, we have 6% of them right here in Lee Summit. 2 students from each of the high schools have been honored this year. From Lee Summit West, Emma Wang and Wyatt Carlson. Proud dad back there somewhere. From Lee Summit High School, we have Allie Mathis and Lily Aldendorfer. And from Lee Summit North, we have Bella Washburn and Joel Kilgore. So congratulations to them. I have several recognitions tonight for educators, and here we have, last night we had just an amazing event. I love that event. We have 15 outstanding educators in our annual Teacher of the Year reception at Longview Mansion, so kudos to all 15, and congratulations to Holly Dawn, for a music teacher at Summit Lakes Middle School, for being named last night the LSR7 2022 Teacher of the Year. Ms. Dawn is a proud graduate of the district, and she has done much to inspire her students and her community. And congratulations to Ms. Dawn. She'll go on to compete at the regional level now. Also, I'd like to recognize Dr. Chad Herzog at Lee Summit West. The principal was recognized as Principal of the Year by the Greater Kansas City, Missouri Principals Association. So well done to Dr. Herzog. We're also celebrating Mr. Trey Henderson, a traveling PE teacher in LSR7 this spring, as our March 2022 Learning for Life Award recipient. So congratulations to Mr. Henderson, who probably had the most epic shirt on award we've ever given. I love the shirt, Trey. He's going to be a middle school PE teacher next year, so congratulations to Trey. Last, we have 2 different awards to give out that we received from MSBA. The first one has a little more bling to it because it came in early enough. So this is for Roderick Sparks, who's got a certificate of achievement for advanced board member certification, and he gets a pin with that. So congratulations, Roderick. Then hot off the press, we had the same award won by board member Mike Allen. So MSBA will send us the nice certificate and the pin. So when we get those, we'll get them to you, Mike. So we made a copy here for you for now. So congratulations to Mike Allen.
Thank you very much, Dr. Buck. Appreciate that. We are going to move on to item 3. These are our presentations and recognitions, and so we're going to highlight a couple of schools this evening and then have one quick construction update. We're going to start with Prairie View Elementary, and I'm excited because there's instruments in here, and that seems like that's going to be very fun. So we will turn it over to Amy Finnenwald from Prairie View.
Good evening, board members. Thank you very much, Dr. Buck. We would like to present to you our 5th and 6th grade Prairie View Bulldog Choir, and they are going to sing some songs using some of the instruments that they use. They are very excited as this is their first presentation this year. We have one also next week, so they're very excited to be able to perform to you tonight, so thank you for inviting us. I'll also mention that they are led by Mrs. Chandler and Mrs. Roush, 2 of our PVE music teachers.
Principal Finderwald, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Prairie View. Give them just a second here. Okay, we're going to move on to 3.02. This is going to be our presentation by Summit Technology Academy. And I believe did I see Dr. Bonison in here? Okay, oops, I'm sorry. You were over there just a little bit ago. And so, okay, so we'll turn the mic over to you, sir.
Thank you. We're excited to share about Summit Technology Academy tonight. There are a lot of things to share that are going on, but in the time that we have, we're going to highlight our computer science program. So STA was created with 3 key pillars, and those pillars really guide all of our programming that we have at Summit Technology Academy, and those are that our programming is industry aligned, that it is inquiry based, and that it is rigorous. We currently have, if you remember, 5 career pathways, which include computer science, engineering, health science, human services and finance, and communication arts. So those are our 5 pathways that we currently have, and they're aligned with industry in Kansas City, the high wage, high demand areas. For time's sake, we're only going to highlight the computer science pathway, and we have some special guests that we'd like to introduce in just a little bit who have come back from Washington, D.C. They're the top 1% in the nation for cybersecurity, so we'll highlight them in just a few minutes. But how our pathways work with industry alignment, one example of that is our computer science pathway, and we've been working for the past 3 years with industry partners to make sure that the programming is cutting edge. And our partners told us that with the programming that we had, it was programming or coding, it was security, and it was network operations. And they said with migration of cloud, where everything is moving to the cloud, students need to be cross-categorically prepared. They need to understand a little bit of all of it to work in that environment, in the IT environment. So we redesigned and re-envisioned our computer science pathway to what's called sometimes a DevSecOps pathway. That is development, security, and operations. So students can get all of those to have a strong foundation as they go into the workforce. We also changed our programming from year-long to semester-based, so students can have many options as they prepare, and they can choose those options based upon what their interests and their goals are. So we have a quick video that will highlight the computer science pathway.
Computer science careers become increasingly intertwined. The modern worker requires a broader understanding of networking, programming, and cybersecurity. The computer science pathway at STA allows students to build their own program from a selection of 8 semester-length courses. Students have the option of building a wider foundation by taking several cross-category courses or diving deeper through successive and specific courses.
Right now, industry is telling us that anyone in a technology field needs to know a little bit of everything, and I think that they can really offer that here at Summit Technology through software development, network operations, and cybersecurity. You really get a good feel for any kind of area that you're interested in.
Artificial intelligence, Cisco network equipment, gaming design software, and client-connected data are among the industry standard equipment available at STA.
This class offers a lot of certifications you can take and college credits, and so it just helps you get a head start and get some practice in the field.
To learn more about building your computer science pathway at STA, visit our website.
So in addition to industry alignment, inquiry-based is a hallmark of STA. So where students have the chance to work through in a hands-on nature and think through
Everybody, Jason Wright with another episode of ThreatWise TV. Very excited about I get excited about all of the episodes. That's true.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry about that. he gets excited too. So he's excited about STA too. So so with the inquiry-based approach, I often say that learning follows thinking. Whoever's doing the most thinking in the classroom is doing the most learning. And so we need to help students inquire, to be asked questions, or to ask questions of themselves to learn, to process that information. And so that looks like in our classrooms, project-based and problem-based instruction, simulations, and integrating or applying what they're learning into the real world, into what industry is telling us, through client-connected projects and through innovation projects, through internships. In addition to this, students have the ability to learn what we call professionalism skills. Sometimes those are called soft skills. We call them professionalism skills, so they're ready for the workforce. The last pillar is rigorous coursework. So all of our coursework is aligned to college credit of some sort. And in addition to that, it is aligned to the standards of the industry. So for computer science, we have what's called the Cisco Academy. We are actually what's known as a premier academy. There are about 2,000 academies in the US and Canada, and we're one of those premier, or what they call lighthouse academies. And with the coursework that is provided, students can get as much as 17 hours of college credit from this coursework and industry-recognized credentials. So a CCNA, which is a Cisco Certified Network Associate, Security Plus, CompTIA, these are just some of the examples. But with these certifications, students can really walk into opportunities. If they have a little experience, it can provide them great opportunities, about $80,000 with a little experience, and they're off into their careers. So with those pillars, one of the things we've been working on for the past 2 years is a personalized and competency-based approach. So the learning can be student-centered. And our pillars for that are agency, authenticity, and articulation. So agency is where students are agents of their own learning. They have to own their learning in order for them to be well prepared. And so we help them do that. Secondly is authenticity, which means that it's authentic to who they are as a person, but also authentic to the real world. We need to have both connections. And then the last is articulation, where students are able to articulate or showcase the competencies that they learn. And when we have business partners come in and interview our students for internships and other opportunities, I've seen mouths drop and eyebrows go up when they hear how our students talk about the skills they've learned and how it's integrated into the projects and how it relates. They say, "I can't believe that this is a high school student." So we're very proud of this and what our students do. Now, we'd like to showcase some of those results, and Mr. Novinsky, our assistant principal, will talk about some of those results.
Now, when you consider all those things that are happening at STA, what are those results? What happens? So I want to introduce our cybersecurity team. So if you guys could please stand up, our Cyber Patriot team, Team Pseudo, along with their coach, Lisa Euler, and their instructor at STA, Dr. Adam Vaughn. So Cyber Patriot is a national cybersecurity competition. This team competed against nearly 3,000 teams, and nationally took 7th place overall, which is the top 1/3 of 1%. All these people are clapping because this is a huge accomplishment, and that by itself, standing on that stage, is a marketable asset all by itself. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, Dr. Lisa Euler, you want to come up, or Mrs. Euler come up?
They would like to introduce the team.
We should at least have their names here. Let's get their names.
Let's hear their names. That'd be good.
I need to know who to go to here in just a little while.
As she's coming up, they're from all 3 high schools, and we took first, second, and third. 3 different teams at STA took first, second, third in state, and the third place team was an all-girls team too. So how about that?
And an all-girls team is nearly a miracle. Okay, so this team is a combination of all 3 high schools, actually, even though it could be anybody. that goes to Summit Tech, juniors and seniors. Thomas Wozniak from Lee Summit West. Jacob Martinez from Lee Summit High School. Sam McEwen from Lee Summit West. Travis Held, Lee Summit High School. Ethan McFarland from Lee Summit West. And Gage Nelson from Lee Summit North.
Before you walk away, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Can you talk? They went somewhere to compete against the top 12 in the nation. Where'd they go, and what'd they have to do to earn 7th place?
So there are 4 rounds of competition during the school year in basically October, November, December, and January. So you have to first to be on the path to nationals, be in the platinum division overall, which is the top 30% nationally. In the open division, there's also a service division and a middle school division. And if you make it to platinum, then you have to be in the top 12 of the remaining approximately 600 teams to go to, we were in Rockville, Maryland, so it's always in the DC area. Northrop Grumman is the presenting sponsor. And so during those competitions, you're basically hardening operating systems and configuring Cisco networking. But when you go to nationals, you're actually red team, blue team competition, so would be blue team defensive cybersecurity professionals, and then the red team comes in, tries to attack you, and you're trying to defend your network from their attack. And that actually was the Talos group of Cisco, which is their top dog security professionals. So it's not an easy thing to do, but you know, the coolest part about it is just they don't know what they're getting until the day before they give them a debriefing and they say, this is what you're gonna do. And they walk in and they just rise to the occasion, and so it's really a great experience. Yeah.
And for some of them, it's the second championship they went to.
Well, actually, we've had other teams also. We were first in the nation in 2016, and we were first in the nation in middle school in 2017, and Ethan was on that team. So several of them have been in Cyber Patriots since 7th grade and 8th grade and 8th grade. 7th grade, yeah. Yeah, so they stuck through it.
So can I just ask?
I'm sure they're like, oh,
Can I just ask a quick question?
Turn on your mic.
So do all of you plan to pursue cybersecurity jobs?
Yeah.
Awesome.
yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
They're sold by
Oh,
the
we're just totally derailing everything here. No, it's good. Go for it. Go for
I'm
it.
sorry. I'm
This
sorry.
is, hey.
Yeah.
How did they enter in at the 7th grade school year to be able to have this pathway?
So actually, when we first started, I've been coaching Cyber Patriot for 11 years. So when we started doing it, it was only a high school cyber defense competition, and then they added middle schools. So in 2015, we were sitting there thinking, we can bring a middle school here, right? So actually in 2016, when we took first in the nation as a high school, Pleasant Lee was second in the nation in middle school, and then the next year, we had a little more experience, and we went back, and Summit Lakes had a team, and they took first in the nation in middle school.
So if a student is watching right now, who would they need to contact to get involved?
Well, I'm having a camp in June. It's on the 20th. There's a beginner camp in the morning and an advanced camp in the afternoon, and I think our administrative assistant at Summit Tech was supposed to be sending that to get it on the website for Lee Summit. I have sent it to everybody that I know, and then in the fall, we will actually, we're just forming it as a club at Summit Tech in order to get the freshmen and sophomore, because we tried to spread it to the 3 high schools, and we have a shortage of human resources in cybersecurity, just like cybersecurity does. And so we're going to host it as a club at Summit Tech in the fall for freshmen and sophomores also.
Thank you so much, and congratulations, students.
Thank you.
So our students are able to compete at really the highest levels in their areas. I absolutely appreciate that. I also want to introduce and highlight as evidence for this. Also, we have a lot of students like Cameron. Cameron, after just 1 semester at STA, was able to acquire a paid internship with a company here in Lee Summit, which is involved with an exciting career of artificial intelligence, the data industry, working with, let me see if I can get this right, the robotic processing automation. Ooh, I got it right. So really these are emerging fields within the market, and our students are able to perform and get paid to do it as high schoolers. Maybe I should highlight that some more. as she would graduate, she'd be able to make $50,000 starting off right out of high school, and within just a few years, maybe 5 years, make double that within this industry without a college degree. More evidence, we have other students who've had internships. I just want to highlight just for a second. King was a software developer at Ultrex, and I have a quick video, if I can get it to play, of him speaking to it.
I heard Ultrex from one of the MIC coordinates. We had a few interviews with the other few companies, and Ultrex really struck me as innovative, and I love the community as well as what they were aiming and striving for.
It's important for us to create projects that they can start and finish in their timeline, and in the process of doing that, create a lasting impact here and create skills for themselves that they carry beyond Ultrex.
The skills that I'm learning in class include problem solving and teamwork, and especially communication, because having to coordinate with people on what work needs to be done, how it needs to be done, I see that replicated in the workforce. I envision myself as a systems engineer or embedded designer, making applications or devices for companies all around the world in the usage or to speed things up or optimize their data sets.
So I just showed just a couple things that are happening within our computer science area, and I want to tell you there are so many more even exciting stories that are happening in all of our career pathways. So I want to thank you guys for your time, for us to be able to share a little bit about STA.
Thank you all very much. We appreciate it, and we appreciate you guys being here this evening. We are going to move on to the last of the presentation and recognition. So we have a presentation and an update on Lee Summit High School. I saw Mike from J.E. Dunn back there. Without your letter jacket on, though. I did notice that. So,
flag and gold for me.
okay, and then is Kelly here from Gould Evans too? There we go. So I have to let you know, Lee Moore put you on the spot because I saw him at LFE yesterday for a choir thing. He said you were going to do the most amazing job of all time. So good luck.
He's a liar. He's at the Royals game too, so you got to hear the kids tonight.
Oh, thanks for rubbing it in again. I appreciate that. So.
All right, Lee Summit High School update. So I think this whole presentation will go, and then we'll move over to Kelly on the robotics. So, all right, little bearings here. This is a floor plan of the whole campus. This would be the Highway 50 side, and this would be the 291 side, so you guys can get some bearings here. The gray are the areas we were in. The blue is what we're in right now, and the gold is what's still to come. So there's a lot going on, and there's a lot coming up. So we'll click through first what's in the renovation area. So renovation, this is the area B, so this would be the part down the hill. Down in the basement, where I used to have math, there will no longer be classes down there. Now you're going to have HVAC units that feed the rest of that area, but then you're also going to have a nice teacher collaboration space that'll be part of this down here. So we're building that right now. Then upstairs, you're going to have more classrooms. They're going to be similar in that field to what you guys saw in this area J over here in that A building. So it'll be a similar look there. Those are going on right now. And then what's coming up in the summer, you can see all that yellow there is what's coming up this summer. We have a big, busy summer coming up. And we take out the rest of this B building, which this is all art area right now. Not easy to relocate them in trailers, so this has to be done this summer, and we got all that renovation coming in this summer. Then you also have where admin sits right now. They'll move into their new home when Addition 1 finishes, and then we will renovate that. And this is actually an addition portion, and then you'll actually have your renovation piece. So on the Addition 1, you know, the thing about the pictures on Addition 1 is they don't do justice to size. This picture right here is pretty cool when you're looking at this. So I'm excited for you guys to walk through there, but there's a lot of finishes going in there. I mean, this is changing. This is to the point now where this is changing a lot every day. So from these pictures that got turned in for the presentation, it looks totally different from that even today. So there's a lot of finishes going in, the polished concrete, they've poured those slabs. We're going to start seeing carpet coming in. We're starting to see some baffles. We got some wood wall panel. You can see that right here. There's some baffles that are starting to show up in here. This is going to be a really nice space. This ugly yellow insulation is doing a good job protecting the building, so we can keep going inside, but that's not going to be the final finish. We'll finally start to see those metal panels showing up here next month, and it'll start to look like something here on the outside. So coming up in addition, you can see this picture here. This would be if you're coming out of the cafeteria going into B building. This is what B building is. And you got that breezeway right here. That famous breezeway here is going away as soon as school's out. So that breezeway will go away, and we'll start this addition 2 that'll have that second floor bridge across that'll connect the buildings. Then you'll have that green space that goes underneath. And then you'll have a media center relocating over to this area, and that'll be a really nice space and feel when all that's complete. So we're starting to tear up all this now and start some footings for addition 2, leaving that breezeway until they get out of school, and then as soon as school's out, we'll be taking that down. And then this is what that addition 2, that's kind of that feel from that picture where you're sitting looking the other way. That's what that will look like. So exciting stuff. And you can always follow, we put our monthly updates up on this website, so you can always follow along on those. Any questions?
Board Member Fritchie?
Yes, people in the community continue to ask, is it going to be finished on time?
Well, it's supposed to be finished in August of 23.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, as of right now, we are still on schedule.
On schedule. Perfect. Thank you very much.
But it is a very long project. That's what, August 23. So we got some time. We got some work to do.
Yes, and I'm so glad that Elisa High School grad is the person leading that project. Thank you.
Board Member Allen?
Yeah, just real quick. Thanks, Mike. The metal on there, will you talk about why that was chosen? We had a planning commission meeting when that was being approved.
I've got the perfect guy for this, right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's pretty incredible why it's there, what it's for. It's self-healing, so to speak. I mean, it's a pretty incredible material.
Yeah, so for all the reasons that you just mentioned, we had picked that darkened zinc, if you will, to just given its longevity, its ability to self-heal. But we were also picking up on the detailing of the existing school. So if you look at the existing school, which is largely brick, all the detailing is of a dark metal tone. And so we were picking up on that for the color. And as far as the change in materiality from brick, the purpose and reason there was to highlight the innovation components of the facility that kind of distinguish themselves from the traditional classrooms and other spaces throughout.
What he said. Yeah, that was a lot better than I always said, so thank you for being here today.
Just hire up, right? You just hire somebody that's just, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, we're building.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Update?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you. All right, turn it over to you.
Don't I get to throw one to you?
I don't know yet.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Dreer. I'm here on behalf of the architects for the next portion of this. So we'll be talking about several components here, robotics, the geometry and construction, AMTL and algebra, and the Lisa High School athletics work that we are all working on. There are several moving pieces, so I'll try to kind of simplify it. As far as the renovation scope, this is about, I'm going to highlight a few areas here. Today, there are 3 robotics facilities within those 3 zones. And the idea is to co-locate those robotics facilities at their respective schools. So moving Lee Summit North and Lee Summit West robotics to those schools, and then renovating Lee Summit High School. As a part of this is also integrating a new program that will come online when the new facilities open and these renovations occur. That's geometry and construction. That's an interdisciplinary program that bridges geometry and the construction trade in order to create a hands-on learning experience. And we will be connecting the new robotics facilities at North and West with that program, as well as infilling the vacated space at Lee Summit High School with this geometry and construction program. At all three facilities, that geometry and construction is around 2,000 square feet. At all three facilities, it's about 3,000 to 4,000 square feet for the robotics. Also is the weights expansion. So today, weights is within this area of the building, and we are looking at an expansion of the weight room, which is here, into this 2,000 square feet, again, one of the vacated robotics spaces. And tied to that is a renovation of the locker rooms that are currently pretty cramped for those varsity sports. Last, and I'm just going to touch on this at kind of a high level, but is the AMTO Algebra program. Again, another interdisciplinary program that connects algebra to business classes that look at operating kind of all facets of a business, operating a business, and connecting, again, hands-on learning to that opportunity. And we are looking at spaces within the existing facilities at each of Lee Summit High School North and West in order to, again, co-locate that program. I believe that's a program that's coming online in the fall semester of next year. And so that is occurring at a slightly faster pace than the rest of these projects, but I'll get into the schedule in a moment. As far as new construction, again, the robotics facilities that are leaving Lee Summit High School will be occupying new facilities at Lee Summit North and Lee Summit West. Those facilities are just over 7,000 square feet, and again, they are accommodating both robotics and geometry and construction. And then we are looking at some new construction north of this geometry and construction space for an outdoor build component. And you'll see how we're creating a covered outdoor space at all three facilities. So that's just to bring a level of equity to that program across all three schools. If we dig into the new robotics and geometry and construction projects first, the site location at North is as shown. This is southeast of the existing athletics and gymnasiums. Or west, we are looking at the south edge of the site, just south of the curved classroom wing that is here. Currently, there are 2 mobile units that are overlapping where this site is, so we are looking at a new home for those mobile units. And this is just a high-level overview of the program as it stands today. So again, the new robotics facilities being, or new robotics component rather, being 4,200 square feet, the construction and geometry being 1,800 square feet, with a total building size of just over 7,000 square feet for each of those facilities. This is an aerial view of the new project at each of those locations. We are designing them to be rather similar at both sites. And so you can see robotics being one side of the facility, geometry and construction being the other, and a shared core. That core providing just some of the shared amenities of restrooms, utilities, janitor's closet. If we peel back some of these layers, you can start to see some of the detail that we're getting in. Again, these are largely wide open, flexible spaces that will serve the long-term needs of these programs. And it's largely shop space. It's hands-on space. Both of these programs are connected to industry, so it's allowing for collaborations with industry partners. This is a section, a longitudinal section through that building. showing that we are creating high base space where it's required of the programming. So on the far end or right side of this slide is showing the robotics facility, and then you're starting to see the roof start to take advantage of some greater ceiling height in order to accommodate some of the larger builds. Our understanding is that to start out, they would have builds that would be more like the size of a shed, if you will, and that they may aspire to do something more like a mini home or something of kind of that scale. And so being able to have interior shop space and then the ability to have an exterior covered build space for whatever projects they take on. This is just a view of the robotics side. And again, you can see shop space adjacent to the field. So the field is a critical component to each of these robotics programs. It is the program is built around a competition that begins in January of every year. So they get a competition brief, and then they modify the field accordingly, and they design the robots to that competition brief. So the field is a standard size that they use in the competition every year, and so the ability to have that co-located with this facility is an important attribute. Previously, they had all shared the same facility, the same field rather, at Lee Summit High School, and so as North and West are moving away, it was important to bring that practice field to these two new locations. This is just a view of Lee Summit North and Lee Summit West. Geometry and construction side. Again, it's rather mostly a large open space that allows them to do interior build projects. And then just a conceptual render of the exterior of the facility. Just a few details about the architecture. You'll see that the base is a more durable masonry material, just acknowledging that all of these are build programs, shop space that could benefit from that durability down low. And then up above, again, a skin that's kind of lighter, more delicate, and kind of indicative of the technical nature of the programs that are within. The coloration and specific materials we're still picking out and starting to vet as we're still in schematic design, but we're starting to, just like we did Lee Summit High School, kind of pick up on some of the detailing of North and West in order to infer kind of the specific materials and colors that we'll be using for this facility. Both locations also have a pretty prominent view to the students that are kind of arriving, coming to and from the school, and so we were trying to take advantage of identity. Again, this is just kind of a conceptual sketch, but thinking about how we can draw attention to some of the incredible programs that are within this building for every student that's kind of passing this space. As we look at Lee Summit High School robotics, it will be a renovation of their existing space. They benefited from actually having 1,000 square feet more than the other two programs to date. And so their their renovated facility will still be the same size as the new facilities at North and West. So from an equity standpoint, the shop space will be the same. What we are doing from a renovation standpoint is just reorganizing. So this is just showing a diagram of their space before and a conceptual diagram of the space after. Really trying to give breathing room to the equipment, the shop equipment that's in that space, to provide a level of safety that they may not have today, and provide enough storage to kind of accommodate their needs in the long term. Their field is currently on the stage of B Gym in the adjacent existing Lee Summit High School building, and we are looking at an alternative location that is the mezzanine of that same building. It provides a larger space that would allow for a full field to be located there. Today, their field is about 2/3 the size of kind of a competition field, so they're not able to kind of take advantage of the full perimeter. And are also looking at what an addition to the south side of the existing Lee Summit High School robotics would mean from a cost standpoint. So we'll be pursuing that through the rest of schematic design so that we can get some pricing. Again, kind of looking at what a fully equitable solution would be for that school. If we look at the geometry and construction at Lee Summit High School, again, as I had shared earlier, that's co-located with robotics at the two new locations. At Lee Summit High School, it is being shown located in one of the renovated spaces that was occupied by robotics. And so this is a 2,000 square foot facility, again, of equitable size to the two new locations at North and West. That's a program, again, because it's interdisciplinary and mixing two classes, there will be 40 students that occupy that space. So this is showing what 40 students in a space that size looks like. So we're just trying to, again, provide space that allows for the breathing room and safety that you'd want of a shop program. And then here on the far end, you can kind of see that newer canopy that would be covering that exterior build site. And this is just a view from the interior. And a view of that sheltered exterior build site. And then last, want to share the updates to Lee Summit High School's athletics. So again, taking advantage of the space that's vacated by one of the robotics programs, this area right here, Weight Room 2, it would be an expansion of the existing weight room that's labeled Weight Room 1, and then tied to that, a renovation of the varsity football lockers, coaches' lockers, office, in order to accommodate those needs. Just a high-level view of our schedule. So as I mentioned earlier, we're halfway through schematic design at the moment, and we'll be moving into design development here at the end of the month. Our plan is to finish documentation, begin construction toward the end of the year, September, October, and the hope is to complete these projects, both new construction and renovation, in time for the fall semester of 23. Any questions?
First, thank you very much for providing the update. We appreciate that. Board Member Fritchie?
Yeah, I really do appreciate seeing all of the diagrams and hearing the specifics. As you were presenting, yeah, I was watching square footage as you were going along, and my concern was that Lee Summit High School's build space is 3,000 square feet, and LSN and LS West is altogether at 4,200. But then you answered that question that you guys are looking at the mezzanine in Building B. My only concern is that number one, it's not with their build space, and number two, how do you get the bots up to the mezzanine?
Yeah, so we will have to create a lift for the bot. We aren't expecting the students to take those up a stair, and so we would be looking at an electric lift that would be for materials and for the robot itself. I think they can weigh as much as 150 pounds, I understand, so they're not light, yeah.
Right.
Yes, the square footage difference, the shop space is pretty equitable. It's that additional space is for the co-located field.
Right.
And so, yeah, at Lee Summit High School currently, they would still be separated in the way that they are today, but giving them an equitable space from a size standpoint. Again, we are still looking at options of what it would mean to add to the south side of D building to expand directly adjacent to that robotics program, and we'll continue to assess that as we move forward.
And I do appreciate that, and because I was looking at the exteriors for Lee Summit North and Lee Summit West, and that graphic is so cool that you're highlighting robotics on the building, and I was just wondering if Lee Summit High School is going to get the same treatment. I know the side that's the most visible is the west side of that building. Are they going to get a similar treatment?
We haven't discussed that specifically, but I do know that there has been discussion about how to treat both of those buildings, D and E, to kind of fit in, if you will, to the new aesthetic that's being created at Lee Summit High School, and so I would imagine that'll become a part of the discussion.
Okay, I hope so. Thank you very much.
Board Member Campbell.
I appreciate Board Member Fritchie's questions around that. I had the great opportunity, and thank you for the invitation to attend the robotics open house. And being a robotics mom for many years, love seeing the teams all together, and love seeing walking through and seeing their robots, and just seeing the game for this year. But I had similar questions, and many of parents that I had volunteered with, as well as students, were very interested in what was Lee Summit High School going to look like. So I appreciate you walking through that. We're looking at options and thinking about how we make that easier for our robotics teams. And again, I'll just reiterate, I love around the robotics program, to your point, having that visible for all students to see, because there are all different roles for students to play on, and parent volunteers and business volunteers to play within that robotics program. So really exciting to see the facilities that we're creating for these teams to just continue to innovate, and inquiry-based learning, all the things that we talked about at STA as a part of these programs. So really excited to hear all the options and all the facilities that we're creating. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
We are going to move on here to item 4. This is going to be our board reports or meetings attended. So I'll ask board members to keep your comments relatively brief here to address what committees you are, and then we will have a couple of extra items here right towards the end. And I'm just going to kind of go around this way if that's okay. So we will go with board member Sparks to start with, please.
I'm just going to take my time just to simply say thank you to Mike and to Judy for your service. No one knows what type of sacrifices are made until you sit in the seat. And so I appreciate what you have done and enjoy what you're going to do after this. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Board member Fritchie.
Ditto. From Board Member Sparks, we've all loved having you guys with us, and thanks for all of your commitment. I'm going to report on two specific groups, Lee Summit Educational Foundation first, and LSEF would also like to thank Mike Allen and Judy Hedrick for their service to the district and support of the Lee Summit Educational Foundation. They would also like to congratulate Jennifer Foley and Heather Eslick, and they look forward to working with you. We are currently developing our budget and plans for our 21-22 sponsorship campaign, which is usually kicked off in the summertime, believe it or not. That's when you start looking for those corporate sponsors and those other sponsors around town. Third, the committees and staff are considering ways in which we may engage LSR7 retirees and alumni to help develop awareness and grow our existing database for Lee Summit Educational Foundation. Next hat is Struggling Readers Parent Group report. This is a group that's really close to my heart. This group met March the 30th, and we had around 16 regular members present, along with 2 additional school board members, Kathy Campbell and Mike Allen. Our large group actually has broken out into 4 groups now, and those groups are advocacy, parent resources, R7 feedback, and support groups for students. And we worked in these groups to develop SMART goals for each of our groups that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And it's an honor to serve among these parents of students with dyslexia and other reading issues, along with those dedicated LSR7 educators who work toward our common goal of providing the services our students need to be successful. Our next meeting will be on April the 26th, and we have, I think, about 2 or 3 meetings left. Dr. Eric Flack's in charge of that committee. And we are making progress. Each small group is really making progress towards each of those topics that I mentioned. And I think it's really exciting because there are going to be some really great things that are going to come out of this group to help our students become better readers. So I can't wait to see what we come up with in the end. Finally, I do want to mention that all of us, the entire board, and Mrs. Ismer, our secretary, and Dr. Buck, we all attended the MSBA Region 4 meeting on April 7th at Delta Woods Elementary School. And our program featured a legislative report and a presentation by the school districts from Center, Grandview, and Heckman Mills School District on real-world learning initiatives. And again, we were excited to have all of our group attend together for that. And that's my report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Fritchie. I'm just going to keep going in order, so I'm going to go here on this one. So we had our insurance team meeting on March 29th. Board Member Campbell and I were on with that meeting. So to the staff members who participated in that, I sincerely appreciate that. It's going to continue to be, I would anticipate, a long discussion on as we continue to tackle health insurance and benefits over the next few years. We had our board leadership meeting on April 7th. Vice President Marshall and I and Dr. Buck. And my 30 seconds of time here, Mike, Judy, thank you so much. You know, we've had probably some disagreements along the way, I would say. But, you know, I just respect the heck out of you guys. And so it's been a pleasure serving with you guys. And I had lots to say, but I appreciate it. That's all. Board Member Marshall.
I saw some tears coming out. There's no crying in
No crying.
Board of Education. Yeah, okay. Well, I did that President Murdoch said. I do appreciate the service and the time that I have been here with both of you. And like Board Member Sparks said, no one knows what it's like until you're up here. So I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the time from your family also being here. That part is important as well. The only board report that I have this month, I attended the Board Policy Committee meeting April 4th, and we wrapped up this year with going over the MSBA policy revisions that were due because of just state law. So regular business as usual.
Excellent. Board Member Campbell.
Great, thank you. I'll try to be brief here. I attended the insurance meeting as Board President Murdoch mentioned. I did want to highlight a couple of things. We talked about, because it was kind of the end of the year, the end of the insurance year report, they did share around the use of the Health and Wellness Center. And not a lot of people know that we offer to our staff here at LSR7 a Health and Wellness Center where they did COVID testing. They actually migrated to a new electronic medical record so that people can access their information online. There are over 1,200 account activations around that. And they did a 2021 patient satisfaction, and that was shared with us. Over 1,300 people responded to that survey. 99.7% rated the services as excellent or good. 99.5% are willing to return, and 100% indicate that their privacy was maintained. So I just felt like those statistics showed the benefit of offering that as a service to our staff. So really appreciate that we continue to have that as a part. Speaking about kind of that total rewards package outside of just salary, the benefits when Sarah McMillan shared in the presentation a district comparison in 2021, 2022 with other districts. LSR7 contributed $23 million towards employee benefits, $23 million. Short-term disability, we were the only district with paid days for employees. Life insurance, we're in line with other districts. Tuition reimbursement, we were one of 4 districts that offer tuition reimbursement to our staff. paid time off and vacation, Lee Summit ranks highly there in comparison with all other districts. So I just again want to point out, we care about our staff here, and these types of things I think show that we care about our staff. I also was able to attend the ESL Family Night. This was really well represented, well attended. We had lots of staff there that night as well, and lots of families. And it was so awesome to walk around the room, and there were students that had created posters sharing cultural information. They had created quilts from different schools, and when I talk about quilts, I'm talking about paper-made quilts, but each patchwork was a student-created cultural walk about their family. And so just walking around the room, it was so exciting to see all the different cultures and languages that are represented across our district. As a part of that, we had the opportunity to hear from one of our students that attends STA in the international program. And he shared the real benefits of our ESL students participating in that international learning program because the multilingual aspect of coming in already knowing several languages. So he was a great person to speak to that and recruit our ESL students into that STA program as well. So that was really exciting. I also had the opportunity to meet 3 students that night. Maggie McHenry is their lead student that are doing, again, project-based learning. They have created a project for sanitary pads for Malawi girls, and they've created a website, and they are working with different groups to help fund that. But when you think about students and young women in another country that don't have access to something as simple that we run down to CVS and get in sanitary pads, and how we provide those to those girls, those female girls in other countries, it was amazing. And these students have put that program together themselves. They have worked for funding for that program for themselves, and they are continuing that. So the 3 students will graduate, but they are putting in place all the things so that that program will continue well after the time they're gone. So I just really wanted to highlight the impact of attending these events and seeing our students and our staff at work in these opportunities. I also attended the Struggling Readers Parent Group, and I shared earlier in our work session tonight, we got the opportunity to hear about a therapy dogs program, and around struggling readers, hearing all the great things Kim had shared, board member Fritchie had shared, but also wanted to share, I had the opportunity last weekend to do some volunteer work at Wayside Waifs. And I was walking through with the group I was with, and we were doing our volunteer work. There were also families there that were reading to the cats and dogs within Wayside Waifs. And so we talked about that benefit of having the therapy dogs in our school, because, you know, dogs are great listeners when it comes to struggling readers or people who want to love to read more, all those kinds of things. And clearly those families were having a great time doing that. I did laugh at one family, though. They shared the book. They held up the book that they were reading to the dog, to the big dog that was in his kennel. And it was a dog about cats. I said, whew, I don't know how he likes that. So that was an exciting crossover with our work session earlier. Also attended the MSBA Region 4 meeting. All the great things shared there. I love hearing about what's going on in other districts, because that helps me come back here and ask Dr. Buck, what are we doing here? And he always is so happy to share around those things. You heard tonight earlier with STA, the competency-based learning, the project-based learning that we're doing here in our district, the micro high school learning that we're doing here in our district. It's just an exciting time in education, and this is fun for I think all of us to hear more about. Attended the Teacher of the Year reception, really was just blown away. When they started reading all the bios on the teachers and all the hard work that they not only put into their classroom work, but then all the plus work that they do outside of the classroom. It was amazing. And I want to celebrate with Board Member Marshall the month of the military child. Appreciate, Board Member Marshall, your service. Appreciate that tonight we have Kendall, your daughter, here with us, and recognizing her as a military child. So just want to say thank you. Thank you so much to you. Thank you so much to your daughters and your family that have contributed so much. Also would recognize our incoming board member, Heather Eslick, and your service and the service of your children as well. So thank you very much. And to everyone watching in our district, children of military families appreciate you and recognize you this month. Thank you. And to Board Member Hedrick, Dr. Hedrick, Board Member Allen, I just want to say thank you. Learned so much from both of you. Learned so much of different perspectives and different things that I never even thought about in our discussions. So appreciate so much your service. Appreciate my personal learning and my relationship with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Campbell. We saved our two departing board members for last year, so committee reports or comments, whatever. We'll go with board member. We're going to go with Board Member Allen, and after the two of you are done, we do have a small little gift for you too. So if you guys need to fight it out, well, you can fight it out. But here, we'll call it out. Board Member Allen, you're on.
I'm up. All right. I do have a bit of a committee report, but I touched on other members touched on a couple of things. Though this week has been tremendous because Monday we had the Teacher of the Year interviews. So 15 finalists, we had interviews with the 15 folks, teachers, from members of the Chamber's Education Committee. Judy and I were tasked as board members to be in those interviews. And phenomenal commitment, personal investment, feelings, emotions, they are rock solid. But they're 15 of all of the 1,400 teachers and paras and all the rest that sacrifice nonstop in the classroom. So that is, I hope we can capture some of those comments that they made, some of the energy they shared. It was fantastic. Reception was last night, and the 15 folks' names are on here, and I know they've been sent out in notices. And so if anyone has an opportunity to spend any time with these folks, you'll be amazed. And the biographies and the backgrounds that Dr. Buck and Matt Baird read last night were outstanding. But, some of the things they really talked about, certainly instruction, but the emotional connection, respect for their students, belonging, celebrating and recognizing differences, allowing growth mindset, equal opportunities, diversity, equity, self-determination, challenging and rigorous curriculum, accountability, authenticity. I mean, it's this, right? Learning for life. So outstanding job last night, obviously. Diploma Plus presentation, there was a discussion with Dr. Bonison and Shannon Booth and talk about, let's hit the achievement gap issues down through now soon to be elementary grades up through high school, a common thread on Diploma Plus. It's phenomenal work that they're doing closely with Lee Summit Economic Development Council and the other corporate partnerships out there. And that will, you'd mentioned other pieces of that puzzle. It's fantastic. The spring meeting, MSBA. So my treasurer said, I'm going to go to this meeting. I mean, it's the last few days before. He says, you know what? Football games last 60 minutes. You played the full 60 minutes. So go to the meeting, enjoy it. And it was good. It was really good. Parents of struggling readers, that meeting on the 30th was outstanding. And again, those folks are just wonderful. And then did the annual chamber trip on Tuesday to Jefferson City. And this chamber is knocked the cover off the ball. Our chamber, if you can get engaged with those folks, Matt Baird's doing a great job, as well as that whole staff. And he and that group really has a good relationship with our state legislators. And we may not see eye to eye with those folks, but Senator Searboy calls Dr. Buck, gets some input and advice and direction. And Senator Searboy may say, hey, thanks, but I'm going the other direction. But you know what? He at least calls, and they call, and Carrie Engel and all the rest down there, they're working hard, and they sacrifice just like we do. So they love to hear from folks. Pick up the phone, call them just to say, hey, thanks for the work, because that'll go a long way as well. Thanks to my wife, daughters, of course, I had a little campaign stuff going on. Even though it wasn't successful, man, what a great learning opportunity. And you've got two talented folks jumping in here in a second. And it was a heck of a ride for 3 years, that's for sure. And early in the meetings that we had, I give Ryan credit because he called me a nice, strong name and basically hit me upside the head with a 2x4 when I deserved it. And I really appreciated it. And we've been really good friends since, had some coffee and had a good laugh. And one of those highly emotional meetings, we had talked at coffee, and he said, man, I'm getting some emails back about blah, 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 blah. And I said, dude, you got nothing on me because I was getting 50 to 100 a day. So it was an interesting, good 3 years. A friend of mine that happened to me in town said, you know, how long's public education? About 150 years? Man, those 3 years that you got in there, those are certainly the three that will stand out. But, you know, what I'll miss is folks in this room, naturally, and the knew I just gotta drink something. 2,500 employees that are hard workers every single day and lay it out every single day with, you know, 15 kids, 25 kids, 100 and some odd kids. They just are fabulous. Building leadership here. Nice job. Keep it up. We know you've got blind spots, so work on those, would you, please? With me. And I'll be around to keep you accountable, too. I got blind spots, too, man. I'll regret not getting some time with Steve Shelton because we stole him from Raytown. Shelley Sanders, awesome. And Dr. Potts. The rest of you had to put up with me longer than so they get a pass, but I'll be kicking around. Man, but like maintenance, nutrition, purchasing, distribution, educators, paras, early education, Team Lee Summit, man, what a group. Kurt Swanson and Charles Brooks, Dan Fenn, Judy Sclair-Stein, good people. And this group here, man, 6 folks that have fought like cats and dogs, and yeah, obviously, you know, we've done it up here, we've done it in closed session. Hey, if you want some entertainment, maybe get into closed session one of these days. You'll find some strong language, and it's good. And we should be held accountable and pushed. And we keep to our board promises, and we do keep it real, as they say. So thanks, everybody up here, and thanks for everybody out there. And though we've been at like this or like this, it makes the community better. And if nothing else, this is one outstanding community, regardless of what we see on Hate Book. It's really pretty good stuff. And I've not spent a lot of time on Facebook and said too much yet, but I've got some people to thank there, and I got out there to do my job. And I have a young man that I spent about 48 years with, and I've got to say a final goodbye to him. But I think he'd be proud of all of our work. So, to Steve Gilliland, I love you, man. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. Board Member Hedrick.
Thank you. I have several board reports. I will be giving the finance report here shortly. On the board policy committee, just a couple of notes for the rest of the board. There are a couple of those policies that have to be adopted by July 1st, so those will be coming up to you fairly soon. I was also served on the Teaching and Excellence, as indicated by Mr. Allen, and really I also got to participate in actually traveling around the whole district on April 1st to award the teachers that, and really that was one of the best days ever as a board member. It was, excuse me, it was absolutely awesome, awesome, best day ever. Just a couple of other notes about that. Just a thank you to the chamber. Thank you to all the people who nominated a teacher and to all the teachers who completed the process. It was just very rewarding and amazing. And really, those individuals are indicative of our entire staff. So I want to say thank you to all of our staff for what you do for students every day. I just have a couple more comments. Hopefully I can get through them. I was hoping not to get emotional. But I do want to say, hopefully, a couple other things. To thank you for the opportunity to serve. Thank you to my fellow board members. We have had an interesting 3 years. And I appreciate the growing and learning that we've all experienced, because that's what we're all about. I want to thank our administrative and support team. You've been phenomenal, which I already knew. But you've gone above and beyond supporting us as board members. I want to thank all those who I've worked with in the district, first as colleagues and then as partners on the board, and particularly those of you who will be leaving the district at the end of the year. I want to wish you all my best in your future endeavors. I'm just about done. Let me take a quick breath. And finally, I want to thank our extraordinary, and I mean extraordinary, students and staff. You guys continue to amaze and humble me. As I've told several of my board members, we know we're not perfect. We've got a lot of work to do, but I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else than the people that are in this district. They are fabulous. They're awesome. They work hard for kids every single day, and I just appreciate them more than words can say. One of the things that makes education so rewarding is it gives us the opportunity to continually change, evolve, and learn. And what we do matters for kids. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hedrick. We appreciate that. Before we move on to the comments from the public, we do have a couple of plaques for our outgoing board members. And I think it would be fair to say that the last 3 years, Dr. Buck, probably have been unlike anything that anybody has seen probably in terms of public education, no matter how you shake out on a lot of these topics. And so for helping guide us through them, we sincerely appreciate all of the hard work and no doubt the hundreds, if not thousands of hours that you guys have put into this. So thank you very much. We appreciate your service. All right, well, we do have to, I guess, finish the rest of the meeting. So
Is mine automatically sent about 10 minutes ahead just in case?
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because, you know, I'm very
right
punctual.
At the last second. Got it. We are going to move on to item 5.01. This is our comments from the public. And so we will ask Dr. Hedrick, one last time as parliamentarian, to go through the guidelines for public comment tonight.
Thank you. We appreciate your attendance and your willingness to speak to the board. Please remember that while this is a public meeting, this part of the meeting does not contemplate a conversation between speakers and board members. The board does not respond to public comments during the meeting, but may ask clarifying questions. Your comments will be noted by the board, and if appropriate, we will direct the subject to the administrators who are responsible for that particular subject matter. Pursuant to Board Policy BDDH, we will be limiting all comments to no more than 10 people with a limit of 3 minutes each. Your allotted 3 minutes will be counted down on the screen. Please conclude your comments when the timer expires. Only those who have signed up prior to the meeting will be allowed to address the board. Please refrain from using the names of any students, staff in your remarks. Remain respectful and ensure your comments pertain to district operations. We also ask all audience members to remain respectful. Lastly, when your name is called, go to the podium and clearly state your name and the organization you represent, if any.
Thank you. And like we've done in previous meetings, we'll announce the first speaker and then essentially the on-deck person so that you know that you would be coming up next. So our first speaker tonight is LaTriviette Grant. And our second speaker will be Kristen Grubbs.
Hi, my name is LaTriviette Grant, and I'm here to speak on some more parenting tips to help our children in school become better, more respectable and not offended or affected by some of the topics that are going on in schools today. Children need two things. They need to feel free and they need to have a high level of self-worth. If they encompass those two things, they will not be out saying racist things towards people. They won't be bullies. They won't berate others, and they won't be affected by such things. And parents that raise their kids this way have to sacrifice. In order for a child to have a high level of self-worth, the parents have to sacrifice. Parents are constantly depending on the teachers to sacrifice emotions or sacrifice their time. But what are the parents sacrificing? For instance, I'll be an example. I recently officially adopted my two boys. They're my nephews at one time, now they're my sons. Once I knew I was about to adopt them, I went looking at the school districts. We were in the Kansas City school districts. I tripled my house payment to move to the Lee Summit School District to get them a better education. My 5-year-old, who was 3 at the time, was in free daycare. I moved him to the Goddard School. That's not free. Nothing free about the Goddard School. Those were sacrifices. I used to have plenty of money to do whatever I want, but I knew my boys were important to me, so I sacrificed. My 12-year-old knows what I did. My 5-year-old kind of understands. But again, it's about sacrifice. Their level of self-worth is high because of what I'm doing for them. So that's why they're not affected by what their teacher, the nationality of their teacher, or their teacher's religion or gender. They don't care about that. They have a high self-worth. They're not worried about it. You know, my 5-year-old is playing kindergarten football, and he wants me to be a coach. I'm like, okay. So he's in kindergarten right now, so I'm an assistant coach right now. I'm on the path of becoming a head coach for first grade. That's a big sacrifice. I have to get certified, I have to learn the rules. But again, it's a sacrifice for him to know he's worth it. I'm not gonna say how old I am, but I'm an older woman, you know, but I'm out there in the sports world for my son. Future NFLer, Pro Bowler.
There you go.
Put me on that.
There you go.
And my 12-year-old, I want to remodel my kitchen, but he wants to be NASCAR. So go-kart racing is what he's going towards, and that's expensive. Sacrifice.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kristen Grubbs, and then Melissa Foxhoven.
My name is Kristen Grubbs, and over the last few months, I've become aware of some unsettling facts about our school district. I've done my due diligence, and my research has led me to what I'm about to detail for the benefit of all those willing to listen. In November of 2019, our district signed a contract with Panorama Education, Inc. to have access to their proprietary student success platform. Along with the platform, Panorama provided student surveys on social-emotional learning, student climate, equity, and inclusion. Following a pilot run in 3 schools in 2020, the district contract with Panorama was renewed and is currently due to expire in 2024. The data collected from these student surveys is analyzed by Panorama. Responses are available on their platform in subgroups by sex, race, ethnicity, and more. One might wonder how they would know the sex and race of the student filling out the survey if these questions aren't on the survey itself. Parents, I ask you to listen carefully to what I'm about to say. Student survey responses submitted to Panorama are directly integrated with PowerSchool via their student ID on Panorama's web-based platform stored on servers in Virginia. The integrated information is then viewable on a dashboard by district teachers and administrators. It has been explained to me that teachers can then view student responses side by side with student educational records. If you have not yet noticed any red flags regarding student privacy, pay attention. According to the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, students' personally identifiable information is protected, and certain criteria must be met for an outside company to be allowed access to student records without consent. In Panorama's case, they do not appear to fit any of the criteria. This means parental consent must be given for Panorama to have access. When asked where parental consent may have been given, district administration directed me to the student handbook as parents sign off on it every year. The handbook led me down a rabbit hole of district policies. I have scoured policies, laws, contracts, board meetings, and called government agencies for guidance and clarification. I even conferred with the lawyer to be sure I wasn't misunderstanding the material. I've come to the conclusion that our district violated the law when it gave access to our students' personally identifiable information in their student records without parental consent. When I spoke before you in January, I introduced myself as a lover of truth. I stand before you again as a lover of truth, a mama bear here as a protector of youth, to stand up for what is right and just. I'm here to inform you that I have filed an official complaint with the U.S. Department of Education and Missouri Attorney General's office. I look forward to discussing alternative methods of surveying students and improving educational opportunities in the future.
Our next speaker is Melissa Foxhoven, and then Pastor Darren Edwards.
Hi, my name's Melissa. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. As many of you probably know, I was a member of the candidate pool for the recent BOE election, and during that time, I heard a lot of different views, some of them loudly, some of them my own. However, it was always my understanding that the Board of Education was supposed to be a nonpartisan group of individuals, a melting pot, if you will, of individuals to make up a cohesive board that would act on the best interest of all of the students. As a trusted elected official, the boards would act in a way that would support all students. I'm sure you can all agree that as part of the understanding is that if certain actions posed a risk or a potential adverse or harmful effect on any of our students, those actions should be reconsidered. Recent conversations, social media claims, and other things have cast a shadow on my beliefs. While it's true that our district has made significant progress towards recognizing the needs of our diverse and varied populations, we still have a lot of work to do, and we can't stop or turn back. Our district representatives, district representatives, it's important for us to remind ourselves why diversity and cultural awareness is so crucial in the classrooms and how it benefits our students, not only day to day, but as we form a base for their careers and their adult lives. Teaching and understanding diversity exposes students to various cultural and social groups, which prepares them to be better citizens in their communities. Recently, we've allowed ourselves to become divisive in our understanding of what diversity truly means. We've allowed ourselves to judge and provide unsolicited opinions about how others live their lives. We've even allowed our neighbors to claim that their lives are superior, their religions are superior, the way they behave is superior, and to judge and condemn others. Why do we feel compelled to step across those boundaries when they're not ours? When someone's belief actually harms another person mentally or physically, how can we tolerate that as a community? Why do we allow this to happen? Social media, in person, why? How do we fix it? Well, with conversations, training, real intentions to learn about other people. Right now, we are celebrating 6 different religious holidays this week. 6, not just Easter, Passover, Ramadan. We have 2 Indian holidays that we're celebrating and a non-deity holiday. Lee Summit is a wonderful community, and we can recognize that by celebrating the diversity of every single person in this school district. Thank you very much for allowing me to have this, and as each one of you leave here today, please understand, have the vision to understand everybody in our community, and make sure that your own personal beliefs and experiences do not come before everybody's. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Pastor Darren Edwards, and then April Smith.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Pastor Darren Edwards. As you know, lived in Lee Summit for 18 years. 4 children have graduated from the district. And in full disclosure, my wife is currently employed by the district. I'm here after hearing and seeing what I've watched and heard. I want to give continued thanks and encouragement to this board and to this community of which I love. The 18th century Enlightenment philosopher Thomas Paine used these words in The American Crisis. These are the times that try men's souls. These are those times as I sit back and watch disruption, differences, and even dissent within our district. These are those times where we must encourage the unappreciated, resource the underserved, and listen with intent to those who feel unheard. These are those times where we either run the plays from our political camps or stay the course with our mission, which is to prepare every student for success in life. LSR7, these are the times that will try your soul as you transition and reorganize and figure this thing out. So I say to you, stay the course. That's my encouragement. In the words of the Negro spiritual, you come too far to turn back now. So stay the course. Continue to strengthen policies that enable equitable opportunity for all students. Stay the course. Create avenues, and I really mean this part, that gives equity training from the board to the staff, from the staff to the principals, from the principals to the teachers, and from the teachers to the students, so that our community knows what I think I know and what I believe I see. So I'm done. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said it best. In the end, we will not remember the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Don't get silent now.
Our next speaker is April Smith. Is April here? April's not here? Okay. Andrea Harris, and then after that, Michelle Barnes.
Good evening, Superintendent Buck, board members, and district administration. My name is Andrea Harris, and I live in the Lee Summit School District for the last 3 years, raising one child in the district. I'm also a member of Suburban Balance Equity Team. Tonight, I want to say thank you to the board members for the work that you have done and will do in the community. More importantly, I want to encourage the board to stay the course and move with urgency on what the board has already committed to doing to make the LSR7 children have equitable education experience. At the end of 2021, the board unanimously passed the equity policy. With the recent election, I want to emphasize the importance of the board members, new and returning, to be models of this new equity policy, and to stay laser focused on educational equity and the commitments that are outlined in the policy, and to never lose focus at what is at stake, and that is the children. This board and the LSR School District has already committed to holding itself and all LSR7 staff accountable for cultivating and maintaining a culture of educational equity by providing individual learning opportunities that facilitate personal growth, relationships where inclusivity, belonging, and well-being are valued and prioritized, fostering collaboration by cultivating dialogue and valuing feedback, and providing the LSR7 community with representation, affirmation, and support. With a new equity chief officer in place and equity champions on the school board, we cannot afford to wait another minute or allow anything to stand in the way of this progress and staying the course. Staying the course means to continue to provide the LSR7 staff with the diversity training they need, teaching the true and full history to students, and hiring more teachers of color so all students can see themselves in those teaching them. And let's be intentional about ensuring no child experiences microaggressions. These steps are crucial for success of all students and preparing them for life. Other parents and I are poised to continue to hold this district accountable to the commitments you've made in writing. And we are also willing to work together with the district to ensure these commitments manifest. Equity cannot wait. Let's get to the business of equity so all students can feel as though they all matter and belong. Thank you.
Oops. Our next speaker is Michelle Barnes, and then Melissa Kane.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Barnes. I actually tried to sign up to speak last month, but all the spots were full. I guess that can be expected leading up to an election, but what I didn't expect was to see the hatred prior to and after a local school board election. Before the election, board member candidates were attacked and smeared by numerous people on social media, some even going so far as to say members of the Proud Boys were at an event and questioned whether a certain candidate was associated with the Proud Boys. This is a complete lie and only done in an attempt to smear the candidate. After the election, the KC Star published an article that says, quote, "In Lee Summit, 2 anti-diversity candidates won seats on the school board. So get ready for more arguments and banning books and history itself." And goes on to say how the new board member wins are somehow, quote, "worrisome to the equity efforts to close the achievement gap between white and marginalized students." This isn't surprising considering the past articles from the KC Star regarding our district. There was a group of parents this evening that met early to congratulate and pray for our new board members. When some caught wind of it, they tried to organize a call for activism to unite and protect our schools. Their event claimed that the candidates' supporters were completely blatant in the evangelical bias, trans denial, exclusion, and hatred against LGBTQIA students, and that they screamed anti-equity and anti-CRT every chance they got. This is again untrue and comical how the anti-critical race theory claim is an admission to being pro-critical race theory. These people scream about inclusion but exclude anyone that doesn't think, act, and vote like them. And then there's a controversial post simply asking, but what about the kids? I would like to ask, but what about the thousands of parents that voted for the winning candidates? Like their children weren't the very thing on their minds in their vote. We all want everyone to feel loved and included, and absolutely every student should have the tools they need to succeed and do their best. But this needs to be done in a way that isn't taking precedence over education. This is called being a critical thinker, not racist. And to make such a statement that claims new board members don't want the best for all of our children and students is again, not true. So why am I bringing all these things up at a board meeting? Because we need leaders to stand up and say no more. Keep the politics and agendas out of the schools. Get back to teaching without injecting opinions and politics into the classroom. If you wouldn't want a teacher to talk about religion, then you would have to understand others when they say they don't want their kids exposed to sexually explicit material. It has to go both ways. It's time to stop divisive comments, time to come together, reach across the aisle, and find solutions for all of our students. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Melissa Kane and then Madison Grubbs. Is Melissa here?
Well, this is an odd little turn of events because actually I was signed up to speak next month and was not planning on speaking today at all. But since I was invoked in some way, I am the one that saw somebody with a Proud Boy patch at an election between the candidates. I tweeted about it under a name that has nothing to do with my real name, and I'm sorry that that upsets you, but it is what it is. I will be back next month with my actual prepared speech.
Our next speaker is Madison Grubbs and then Jade Davis. Is Jade here? Oh.
Hello, my name is Madison. I'm a 5th grader in Lee Summit. Today I'm here to talk about mental health awareness. I know a lot of people are insecure about their body or how they act in a situation. Fear can become a problem when people hear about what is going on in the world. I have learned that some kids in school have dealt with a lot of grief, either from a family member's death or from bullying. People get overwhelmed, then they give up and have no motivation. Some people, such as teens dealing with depression or mental problems, try to cope with it by getting into drugs and alcohol. I even know people in elementary who struggle with depression and self-harm. A lot of the time, the school talks about bullying, protecting yourself, and physical health, but not mental health. Our LSR7 schools can talk with students about mental health so they don't feel alone. If LSR7 starts to talk about it, the students would know who to go to if they are having problems. If they can talk about puberty, they can talk about mental health. LSR7 schools could allow organizations like Choose to Live to come in and talk with the kids about mental health awareness. Choose to Live is a local organization that provides resources for people struggling with depression, suicidal thoughts, and self-harm. I have left some information about them at the front desk. Please feel free to pick it up on your way out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Madison. Thank you, Madison. Our last speaker tonight is Jade Davis.
Hello, my name is Jay Davis, and I'm a senior at Lee Summit North High School, and I'm here on behalf of Black Student Union. The impact that Black Student Union has had on me is that I had a sense of community, a sense of family, and a sense of belonging. I felt that once there were people that were just like me, going through the same mental, emotional, and physical struggles. The benefits of being about Black Student Union is that I'm not fighting alone. There are students fighting with me and for me, and so is teachers. I know that Black Student Union says Black, but it's not just for Black kids. It's for everybody. It's for gay students and transgender students and other students of color. But the most important thing is that I've seen teachers having teachers that look like me made me understand that it wasn't just us that they were targeting, but teachers they were targeting. Seeing them have to fight and struggle every day made it harder for me to get up and go to school. The things that were said to them, things they had to fight for every day, it just made it hard for me to trust my administrators and my board members. But together we made a family, a community to fight and become better. But on the positive side, we've seen white allies come together and fight for us, and there was a sense of understanding and learning happening at LSN. That's the great thing about being here as a Bronco, that at my 4 years, I've seen a change between students and staff and some of my administrators, and I felt like I have a place I can call home. Thank you.
Thank you to all of the speakers tonight for coming and being willing to share. We are going to move on to item 6, which is going to be our Finance Committee report, and we will turn it over to Dr. Hedrick.
Thank you. We did have our finance meeting yesterday morning. Board Member Campbell and I met with the rest of the team. We have quite a lot of things to talk about, so I'll try to get through that as quickly as possible. The first contract we reviewed was the contract for Conica Minolta for the lease, maintenance, and supplies for East Trails Middle School's fleet of multifunctional devices. Again, we're looking at getting this ordered so that we don't have any disruption of service. The next contract was with Converge One for I knew I was going to mess this up. Authentication service. To align the cybersecurity best practices and recommendations made in the cyber audit. The technology department is recommending the purchase of new account authentication service to provide a second way to authenticate logins. The service will be implemented for staff on the district's top 5 applications determined based on risk assessment. We also did Converge One and MoreNet. Technology is requesting a second internet redundant connection that will serve the day-to-day bandwidth needs of the district, as well as provide another internet connection for disaster recovery and continuity of operations in the event the primary connection failure. Planned implementation with little impact on staff is expected on July 1. Following a number of curriculum-related activities, including a review of content and and identified need for consistency, alignment with standards, and the need for robust digital resources. An RFP was initiated for math and science resources. The top 4 resources were determined and companies interviewed. Following that process, the top 2 resources were determined with input from teaching staff in the math and science departments. This process results in the recommendation on the agenda for Envision Math or Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. Algebra 1 will impact both middle school and high school, with Algebra 2 and Geometry at the high school level. Inspire Science is being recommended for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade science resources. Staff will have access to these resources during the summer, and professional development will be provided. We also reviewed contracts less than $15,000. We reviewed the purchasing and distribution evaluation. We had specific discussion around the department's commitment to student real-world learning. It was mentioned that students provide a great service, support, and interaction within the department, and also acquire skills for future employment. We reviewed the before and after school services program evaluation as well. From the facilities department, we talked about several contracts that are on the agenda this evening as well. The first one was for the annual carpet and rubber flooring agreement, and it will provide the district with an on-call unit pricing contract for annual carpet and resilient flooring replacement for both emergency and routine needs based on the long-range capital plan. We discussed the contract for Heartland Electric to replace the fire alarm system at Trail Ridge Elementary, which is original to the school. With the age of that system, the parts are increasingly harder to find and failures are becoming much more frequent. Again, this work will be completed hopefully this summer. We also talked in depth. Kyle provided some good information about the contract with J&N Utilities for the Woodland Elementary School fire line reconfiguration. The administration is recommending approval of the contract due to the current fire system is not sufficient, is leaking, and contains sediment that prevents it from being a reliable fire protection system. This contract will allow for attachment to the City of Lee Summit domestic water line, with work again completed this summer. We reviewed the major abatement and demolition asbestos abatement contract. This will provide on-call asbestos abatement services. The district manages an asbestos management plan according to the AHIRA federal law, which requires these services in advance of renovation projects. And we've had to use this service a couple of times on our renovations at Lee Summit High School and PLMS, primarily due to the age of those facilities. We also reviewed the contract with Regents Flooring. The purpose of this contract is to provide the district with on-call contract for annual resilient gymnasium flooring replacements of aging flooring assets. These floors are typically installed at elementary buildings and provide a safer playing surface. The district generally replaces 1 to 2 of these floors each year, or as outlined in the capital long-range plan. The committee also reviewed the revised report for bond projects. They've been business services and technology and facilities has been working on the revision to this report for several months and have a great report they shared with us yesterday. So with that, we also reviewed under the finance report the transfer funds, the investments, and the revenue and expense report. So with that, I have a motion to approve the transfer of $3,513,454.21 from the general fund to the special revenue fund.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for item 6.02 for the transfer of funds from the general fund to the special revenue fund. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Dr. Hedrick?
My other motion is to approve the treasurer's report and payment of the bills.
Motion and a second for 6.03 to approve the treasurer's report and payment of the bills. Any discussion on that item? All those in favor raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Dr. Hedrick, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We are going to move on to our consent agenda tonight. So, board members, before we get a motion on that, is there any items that need to get moved from the consent agenda tonight? Okay, so seeing nobody, seeing none on that, I would take a motion on our consent agenda items.
move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
We have a motion and a second for item 7.01, and it was a long list, obviously, this month, all the way down to 7.19. And so all those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. We're going to move on to item 8.01. This is our one item for decision tonight. We need to certify the Board of Education Director results. So I would take a motion on that item, please.
I move that Jennifer Foley and Heather Eslick are duly elected members of the Board of Education.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and multiple seconds on 8.01. Any discussion on this item? Actually, for our item for decision, roll call vote, please.
Board Member Sparks? Board Member Fritchie? Vice President Marshall?
Aye.
Board Member Allen?
Aye.
Board Member Hedrick? Board Member Campbell? President Murdoch?
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. And then we will go on. We don't have any items for information here under item 9, so we're going to go on to item 10. This is our items of information, our written reports. We had 3, and then, of course, we had our board priorities and bond update as well. Are there any comments or questions related to the written reports? Board Member Fritchie.
I don't want to slow the meeting down, but at the same token, these staff members make these reports once a year, and these reports are important because they don't get to present these out in front of everyone. So I just wanted to point out a couple of things on the reports. On 10.01 Health Services, our head school nurse for the district is Terry Hansen. She filed that report, and it showed that mental health concerns reported by parents have risen this year. I don't think that's any surprise to anyone. The total number of health room visits this year was 137,864. That's a lot, and it's on target to perhaps pass the record from a couple of years ago. To be commended for this department for managing infectious disease protocols and for providing continuous support for each of our schools during our COVID crisis. Just best wishes on the completion of your goals for next year, Terry Hansen. Where are you? Out there? There she is. That's the lady that wrote the report. Thank you, Terry Hansen. Appreciate that. Okay, in 10.02, purchasing and distribution, that report comes from Krista Battaglia. Would you stand up and raise your hand? Krista Battaglia is the hardworking woman from our purchasing and distribution department. Want to recognize her. It's very commendable that you all hired 18 SBE students since the implementation of that program in 2008 in assisting them in establishing those real-life working experiences, and I know that's really valuable to our kids, so thank you very much. That's even more important to us now with our district's career initiatives that we have going on, and I'm sure we'll be looking for more important career-related experiences in our community and in our school district for our students to take part in. Thank you very much, Krista, and department, the entire purchasing and distribution department, for purchasing all the materials for and making sure that those science kits got into the hands of all of our elementary teachers this year. That was a big undertaking. And I really appreciate your procurement of all the PPE, the COVID testing supplies, and all the necessary furniture and supplies needed for our newest learning spaces that are being constructed this year. You guys have done a lot of work, and that is not easy. So we really appreciate all you guys are doing for LSR7. Thanks. Finally, 10.03, the before and after school services. Is Don Butler here? Don Butler, thank you, Don Butler. This was a pivotal year for Bass in its changeover to Bass YMCA. Many of you may have remembered that YMCA has come in to team with the district on that program. Thank you for continuing the services provided for all of our students to be able to have a safe place to go for their before and after school services each day. I did appreciate the goals that were established in that report that detailed that, because that shows you how important high-quality childcare is to our district. And it's good to see that there's also some great professional development going on for the staff in our before and after school services program, and it encourages them to achieve some high credentials too. So thank you for that comprehensive report. And then finally, 10.04 is the board priorities update. And of course, we have administrators in our district who can all contribute to that board priorities update. So thank you for the updates, administrators. And a quick shout out to our 2 featured schools this month in our board update, and that's Underwood Elementary and Trail Ridge Elementary. And thank you for incorporating our board priorities in your school and the great flyers that you created for that. So that was very helpful information. I'd just like to thank y'all.
Thank you, Board Member Fritchie. Other comments? The only one I wanted to highlight, Dawn, in your report that I found interesting and positive, by the way, I want to make sure that nothing negative, right? So is essentially the comeback that we're starting to see in enrollment numbers, primarily obviously from the end of last school year, now as we've progressed through this school year. And I did appreciate the comment that I think we will continue to see more and more people continue to come back to that. And so I thought that that was an interesting chart to include, and I appreciated you putting all those numbers together for us because I think it tells a good story for where Bass is going here even into the next school year. So thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. Any other comments, questions? Okay, that will conclude the written reports. And so item 11, this retiring board is adjourning sine die. We're going to take just about a 2 to 3 minute break here for just a second, let people kind of wrap up and stuff like that. And then we'll jump back on the mic real quick to swear in our new board members. Okay, so just 2 or 3 minutes here of a recess.
Eismert's going to swear in our 2 new board members. Congratulations.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of school director in and for the reorganized school district number 7 of Jackson County, State of Missouri, to the best of my ability according to law.
to the best of my ability according to law.
You can just take a seat up here at anywhere. I got the 2 empty seats. And then I'm going to provide the hard copy of the reorg stuff, so give me just a second. Okay. Yeah, you just go ahead and have a seat.
We're going to give Ms. Eismert a chance to give them a hard copy of our agenda. All right, this begins our reorganization immediately following the regular monthly board meeting, and I will take a motion to call of order and adoption of the agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion, or sorry, I'm not used to doing that. I'm just sitting next to side here. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Election of president. I will take a nomination or more.
I would like to nominate Kathy Campbell for president of the board.
Do you accept?
I do. I'd like a minute to say a few words if I could.
Let's cease nominations before we get to that point.
Okay.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, I'm going to close nominations. Do you want to say something since there's not an election?
I would like to.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to take a moment to thank Ryan, Megan, Kim, past since within my term, past president, past vice presidents, for your consistency and collaboration and leadership, for your support of our superintendent, our staff, and our students. And when I think about we have just a little under 18,000 students, I think that's a big thank you to all 3 of you. Support for our community, which covers 2 counties, Jackson and Cass, covers 6 cities, Lee Summit, Greenwood, Lake Lotawana, Kansas City, Lake Winnebago, and Blue Springs. And want to call out a few of the changes that you have led us through that I've really appreciated. You've built a board culture of dignity and respect, keeping the focus on our students. You've brought alignment on board priorities and board promises. You've led a robust superintendent performance evaluation process that supports and builds our district CEO. You've planned with Dr. Buck on agendas for work sessions and meetings, and you've shared those work sessions, spreading those out into our schools so that we're bringing schools into our board meetings and we're attending work sessions out in the school buildings, and I've loved that. You've ensured that we've done an annual board retreat for opportunity and learning for all of us. So I want to thank you so much for your leadership around those items. We've been able to have tough conversations, but we've also been able to share laughter and learning, and I appreciate all of that. At every step, I knew the 7 of us were aligned around the core of this board and the growth of and education of our students. And I would be honored to serve as president this next year. We have Policy BCB, which outlines the duties of the board president, but I want to add to that I will serve ensuring belonging and dignity and respect and transparency. That if we want a culture in this district of belonging, that we have to walk that life as well. I will lead this board ensuring that our work continues to serve our students in education and in achievement, and in support of our superintendent, administration, and staff. In collaboration with each of you, focusing on how we build each other to grow and be better board members in this role, and support and transparency with each of you and with our students and our parents and our community and our students. And because I'm a policy nerd, I'll also follow BCB around that. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Campbell. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Oh, sorry. Abstain?
Roll call.
Opposed, 6-1. Sorry.
And abstain.
Well, I'm not good at this.
Raise.
5-1-1. All right,
5-1-1.
correct. All right. So we had
5-1,
one no,
5-1-1.
one abstain. Yes. All right. By the way, we do not need a second by Board Policy BCA, so we will open up nominations for Vice President.
I would like to nominate myself for Vice President.
I will not ask you if you accept since you nominated yourself. Any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Kim Fritchie.
You accept, Kim? We have 2 nominees. Any other nominations? I'm going to close nominations. You each could have about a couple minutes if you want to say something before we vote.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm going to change my mind. I will say this. There was some great dialogue amongst me and the existing board members. While I welcome our new board members, Jennifer and Heather, I think that it's important that we continue to move our district forward. I think it's also important that we collaborate with one another. And I think it's important that we are honest and we show trust amongst each other. I also think that it's important that we remain dignified amongst each other, but also we are the example that the community should be. And I just while I know that there is not support for me to be vice president, I think it's important that we're true to who we say we are. And we are not just talk, but we're actions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Fritchie?
I'll just say I really thank you for your trust in nominating me for this position. And if elected, I will do my very best to conduct myself with respect for each one of you and for our students and for our staff. And it would be an honor to serve in this position once again. Thank you very much.
All right, so how this goes by MSBA's Robert's Rules of Order, we vote on the first nomination first, which I believe is Board Member Sparks. So are we supposed to do this by roll call? Or just, it's not, okay. I don't have to.
You can do it.
All right.
You can do it either way.
Will it
yeah.
help you, Linda, if I do it by, no? Okay, we'll just do it. All right, all those in favor of Roderick Sparks, say aye. And raise your hand. All those opposed? Right, motion fails. Then we go on to the second one. So all those in favor for Kim Fritchie to be vice president, say aye and raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries 5-2. Kathy, you get to do the last agenda, item 1.04. I don't know if you knew that since you've only been a board member for about 3 minutes. So if you have it in front of you, or I can give you a second.
I don't think. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm with you. Okay, thank you. Did I mention the thank you for giving me grace at some times? So item 1.04, do we have a motion?
I move that the board reappoint Linda Ismert as Secretary of the Board of Education, reappoint Nathan Holder as Treasurer of the Board of Education, reappoints Hannah Pruitt as Assistant Secretary, and reappoint Sharon Garcia as Assistant Treasurer.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Ms. Ismert, could you help us with the vote?
Board Member Sparks, Board Member Fritchie, Board Member Murdoch?
Aye.
Board Member Marshall?
Aye.
Board Member Eslick?
Aye.
Board Member Foley? President Campbell?
Meeting's adjourned.